Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My name is Brock Page, and I do random sports picks for fun. You also might be surprised as to who I'm picking in the NBA today. If you just can't wait and you want to save yourself some time, check out my picks for this video in the description section below. Once again, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free and free ain't good. If for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. And with that said, let's get into some picks for the 20th. First game I have for you, it is going to be Utah at Denver. The betting opened up with the Jazz as the 1.5 point favorite, and the total points at 192.5. Since then, Utah is now minus 2.5 against the spread, with the total jumping up to 193.5. Currently, the Jazz are laying 140 on the money line, and at the moment, 55% of the money's on Utah to get the job done. Speaking of the Jazz, they've done a fine job against the spread as of late, covering 3 of their last 4 games. They're also covering a solid 77% of their games at the current point spread. They're facing an Indiana team who's covered a pitiful 20% in the second game of a back-to-back. On a side note, both teams have played in games going under the line in 3 of their last 4 games respectively. All that said, I'm in full agreement with the bettors on this game, and I'm taking the Utah Jazz minus 2.5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm in full disagreement with the bettors on this one, and I'm taking the under 193.5. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think Utah wins. Next game, Philadelphia plus 5 at Orlando, totals at 211.5. Currently, the Magic are laying 210 on the money line, and at the moment, 65% of the bettors think Philadelphia will get the job done. Speaking of Philadelphia, they've been red hot against the number as of late, successfully covering their last 6 straight games. They're also covering a solid 71% of their games at the current point spread. Even better, Philly's an impressive 35-14 against the spread versus teams giving up more than 102 a game. In addition to that, the Sixers are 21-9 against the spread versus teams under 500. They're facing an Orlando team who's failed to cover in 3 of their last 4. They also failed to cover in 2 out of their previous 3 games with the Sixers. Even worse, the Magic have covered a pitiful 2 out of 15 games as the favorite, just 16% at the current point spread, and just 2 out of 12 as the official home favorite. When it comes to the total points, both teams are collectively averaging 215 total combined points in their previous 4 games respectively. All that said, I'm once again in full agreement with the bettors, and I am taking Philadelphia plus 5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I am taking the over 211.5. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think Orlando wins this one in a close one. Next game, Atlanta plus 5.5 at Charlotte, totals at 203. Currently, Charlotte's laying 225 on the money line, and at the moment, 67% of the money's on the Hornets to get the job done. Speaking of the Hornets, they've been unable to get the job done lately, failing to cover in 3 of their previous 4 games. They've covered just 16 of 48 games versus teams giving up more than 102 a game. They're facing an Atlanta team who covers a solid 71% of their games at the current point spread. When it comes to the total points, both teams are collectively averaging 206 total combined points in their previous 4 games respectively. All that said, I'm ready to make a pick, and I am taking the Atlanta Hawks plus 5.5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm taking the over 203. When it comes to the money line cash, I think Charlotte wins in a close one. Next game I have for you, Golden State at OKC. The betting opened up with the Warriors as the 4-point favorites, with the total at 219.5. Since then, Golden State's now minus 1 against the spread, with the total points jumping up to 222. Currently, the Warriors are laying 118 on the money line, and at the moment, 59% of the money's on Golden State to get the job done. Speaking of Golden State, they have been able to get the job done against this very OKC team, going 3-0 against the spread in their first 3 meetings this year. The Thunder's been red hot as of late, but covers just 36% of their games at the current point spread. OKC is also covering just 11 of 25 as the underdog or pick'em. On a side note, 2 out of OKC's last 3 games have gone under the total posted points. On the other side, Golden State games have gone under the line themselves in their last 4 consecutively. All that said, I'm once again in full agreement with the bettors, and I am taking Golden State minus 1, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm taking the under 222. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think Golden State wins this one outright. Next and final game for the show. It is going to be New York at the LA Clippers. The betting opened up with the Clippers as the 11-point favorites, with the total points at 215.5. Since then, the LA Clippers remain at minus 11 against the spread, with the total points jumping up to 217.5. Currently, LA is heavily favored, laying 700 on the money line, and at the moment, 53% of the money is on the Knicks to get the job done. Speaking of the Knicks, they've struggled as of late against the number, covering just 1 out of their last 4 games. They're also covering just 16 of 35 on the road and just 46% as the official road underdog. They're facing a Clippers team who successfully covered the spread in their first matchup head-to-head. When it comes to the total points, 2 out of LA's last 3 games have both gone under the total posted points. All that said, I'm ready to make my final picks, and I am taking the LA Clippers minus 11, covering the massive spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm taking the under 217.5. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think the LA Clippers will win this one outright at home. Well, folks, that is going to do it for me. Once again, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. For some reason, you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page, predictions and sports picks, I'm Brock Page, and have yourself a positive day.